The streets and roads and dusty lanes of Colombia have been fertile territory for myths and legends since before the arrival of Spaniards. Tales of La Pastola, a once one-legged wailing banshee that forever sought her child, and El Dundee, a backwards-footed goblin that led travellers to their doom, nibbled at the corners of journeyman's ease for centuries. Although these stories mainly troubled those living in or passing through rural areas, the growth of cities brought with it a new breed of urban legends rooted in the primal distrust we still have, harboured somewhere deep inside of modern technology. An example of this is that the phantom bus that allegedly roams the city streets at nights, supposedly a young woman who boards it alone, are found mutilated in overgrown, outlying fields a few days later. A frozen look of abject terror illustrating the moment of their last tormented breath. That being said, given that you are not a young woman, or at least last time you checked, and that is 5:30 on a Tuesday afternoon, phantom buses and handicapped gremlins are the last thing on your mind. You've been using Bogota's public transport system for over 2 decades, and your greatest concern is that the traffic levels have become all but unmanageable since the latest mayor took office. However, home is about 80 blocks away, so your only choice is to wait until the right bus comes along. Walking would certainly take longer than putting up with any traffic jam. When the bus displaying the route sign you are hoping for shows up, its advertised fare is 200 pesos lower than the standard going rate these days. This usually indicates that the vehicle in question is older and a bit more uncomfortable than most. But no bus rider in the history of the city has ever given a damn about that. Folks that consider themselves richer or above this mode of transportation pay 7 times as much to get around by a cab, and statistically expose themselves to a higher chance of being mugged or robbed. More power to them, right? Never one to avoid seeking further discounts. You ask the driver if he'll let you on for 1,000. The wrinkled, musty-looking man's eyes never leave the road as he silently takes your bill and slides it in the purse hanging from the bony gear stick. Satisfied, you turn your attention to the cabin. What would make this ride ideal would be an empty seat. Curiously enough, considering the time of day, there aren't enough passengers on board for anybody to be standing. A few available spots are in sight, so you choose the one on the left. Towards the middle, both the aisles and window seats are free. You sprawl out on one with your knee nested on the other. This particular trip should be over in no time. The driver's radio is off, and your phone's battery ran out an hour ago. So you pass the time staring at the window and watching the vendors ply their wares and car drivers nod along to whatever music they are enjoying. Your position eventually starts taking a toll on your back, so you straighten up and take the chance to examine your fellow passengers. None of them seem to be riding together, given that everybody's facing the front of the bus. They are also unusually old, but in the sense that nobody seems to be under 75. You find this a bit odd, and for a brief moment, the idea that you don't belong there flashes through your mind. It's a silly thought, but combined with the bus's particularly strong, and not unnecessarily, a typical smell of must and metal, it makes you look forward to the end of your trip. Nevertheless, as there are about another 30 or 40 blocks to go, you look out the window again, zone out, and let your mind go where it will for a while. Both the aisle and the window seat are free. The sight of Parcho's bakery pulls you out of your daydream 20 minutes later. You get up and make your way past your silent companions to the rear exit, where you hunt for that little silver button that will let the driver know you've reached your stop. As you spot it above the door, You realise that nobody's boarded or left the vehicle since you got on, which is particularly weird for rush hour. Shrugging it off as if it was just a weird coincidence, you press down on the button and grab on the... You are sitting on your seat facing the front of the bus. What? What the hell just happened? You look around and see that everybody's still where they were a moment ago. Trying to make eye contact with them is fruitless, since they all seem to be lost wherever it is that old minds wander. The thought of saying something runs through your head, but you decide against it. What would you say anyway? You were probably so zoned out that you simply imagined getting up and ringing the driver's bell. That's probably it. Your daydreams are occasionally so vivid that leaving them is downright startling. Besides, you're already 2 blocks past your stop. Call it a weird thing that happened on your way home, or whatever, but for now, you should just get off the bus. There's no point in having to walk back too far. You once again get off your seat and head for the rear exit, somewhat unnerved by the other passengers' stoic disinterest in everything around them. There is the button right where you remember it, except you can't remember it, of course. You have never actually been back here. You probably just saw it when you got on. After grabbing the guardrail, these bastards occasionally decide to stop on a dime when you ring. You look towards the driver, put your thumb on the button. You are sitting on your seat facing the front of the bus. A piercing chill runs down your spine, and instead of fading away, it spreads through every one of your extremities. It's not just a shift in your body or ambient temperature. It's the chill when you feel suddenly consumed by the level of fear that slightly precedes terror. Something really messed up is going on here. You don't know what it is, but you want out. You don't want to be here anymore. A feeling of bitter solitude now gnawing at your mind. Whatever these people around you are thinking, they clearly don't give a damn about what's going on with you. Therefore, you once again decide to avoid saying anything about it and simply lift yourself off your seat, not preceding the fact that you did it with less agility than you should have done. In this case, all you want right now is to get off of the bus. Besides, it is already advanced more than 10 blocks past your street, which suddenly feels like a distastefully long walk. This is secondary to the point at hand. However, you just have to get off this damn thing. As you make your way back, an old lady in the back row looks at you. Her expression tells you nothing, but the way it fixes on you. On your torso to be precise, as if you were just another chunk of the vehicle, further spikes the almost overpowering sense of dread now, coursing through your veins. Whatever. You can't panic now. Not now. You stand at the back of the bus, and instead of going for the button, yell at the driver. You yell at him to stop. You tell him to get off. That you've already rung it twice, but nothing comes of it. You curse at him, tell him what he will die of, and wish great evil upon his kin. But the door remains unmoved. The man is not listening, or he doesn't care, or doesn't want you to get off. But you don't give a damn about what he wants, or what he doesn't want. So you grab on the bars, take a step back for momentum, and send a solid kick right into the column of hinges that you are sitting on your seat, facing the front of the bus. It takes a moment to register. Maybe more than a moment. Maybe it's a full minute. And as you realize that the bus doesn't want you to leave, you also realize that your right knee hurts with an unnatural piercing sharpness. It's the same leg you used against the door, and now it feels all but broken. This quickly becomes a distant concern when you attempt to massage it, though, because that's when you notice your hands. These are not the hands of a 25-year-old. They are wrinkly, set with well-defined veins, and even lightly patched with liver spots. As you study your hands and arms, cold terror envelops every corner of your physique. You touch your face and feel wrinkles and whiskers that didn't previously exist upon your cheekbones. Your head is patched with a few strands of anemic hair. As your fingertip grazes your rough scalp, a spark of electricity shoots through it and down to the most private recesses of your being. Your eyes dry up, opened wide and unbelieving, as you feel a 7 lump of horror in your otherwise paralyzed throat. You must leave this evil bus. You must leave it at once, before it finishes what it has begun. You quickly make your way off the bus. No need for further injury, and head towards the front, towards the driver. Perhaps you can reason with him, or perhaps you can club him to death with a flashlight or something, since there is always a variety of trinkets and gadgets at the front of the... You are sitting on your seat, facing the front of the bus. It takes a good 5 or even 10 minutes for you to come to terms with what is happening to you, to understand that your life is vanishing before your eyes. Your hands are now those of your grandmother. Your back hurts from its base and all the way to your neck, and your eyes can barely focus on the huge signs posted above the windows. Even your mind isn't as sharp as it should be. It takes you a while to determine that you should make another attempt at the exit. Perhaps violence is not the answer. Perhaps you could gently pull it open. Perhaps if you treat the bus like a living, gentle being instead of a demonic machine, it will let you out. Perhaps. The old woman is looking at you again. You notice her blue jacket, which is much too big for her. If it were a blouse of the same size, it would loosely hang off her gaunt frame. A tiny hesitant tear forms on her frail face, and then, following a meandering path down her ancient features to a land of her wrist with eerie finality. There's a red tattoo watch around her wrist, the sort that is currently all the rage with the kids graduating from high school. You examine the door. 2 panes joined by a vertical lines of hinges, coated on the right by a rubber pad to avoid contact damage. The door is slightly bent inwards. As you notice, this glimmer of hope runs through you. If you can just insert, you are sitting on your seat, facing the front of the bus. What the fuck? What the fuck is going on? My hands, they are old. They are the hands of an old man, not of my grandfather, of an old man. When you turn to him and yells at him, and grabs his face and screams at him to let you off. Oh my god. My teeth, they are like tiny. They are almost dust. They are what the hell. How long have I been here? Fuck this. I'm breaking the window with my elbow. Even if it breaks, I don't want to be here. I don't want to die here. No more of... You are sitting on your seat, facing the front of the bus. After a long time, you glare down at your hands. They are gnarled, blood-splattered claws of a hag that's seen more than one generation's share of horrors. A hag? A hag is not the right word. A hag is a woman, right? At least, so it was in her mother's stories, like those of La Pastola. Your knees still hurt, but not as much as your elbow. It feels like it's shattered. Ah, yes, this bus. You must get off it. You know, you must get off it now. You do not remember why, but it is imperative that you do. It is urgent. It is urgent. You are so tired. You try to lift yourself off your seat, but your knees buckle under your weight. It is by chance that you fall back on the bench. You must get off the bus. You must remember these buses. They used to take you to work. You steady yourself on the bench. You try to get off the bus, but in a moment, you must rest. The bus can wait. You are sitting on your seat, facing the front of the bus. You're sitting on your seat, facing the front of the bus.